mind is the matrix of all matter means the mind is the creator of all matter. Every day, we're creating our life with our programs 95% of the day. You learned a program from those experiences. You carried the program forward. So there's a new way of changing programs. It's called energy psychology. Our identity is broadcast, picked up. We don't die. And download new behavior, new program, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you could walk away. Your life is a printout of your program. But if you're thinking, you redirect your conscious mind to look inside because the answers are inside. The mind is the matrix of all matter. I'm Bruce Lipton, and we are listening to Airey Brothers Radio. People don't realize that biology is not controlled by genes, but it's controlled by our consciousness. This is a new science called epigenetics, and epi means above. So when you say epigenetic control, you're talking about control above the genes. Most everybody out here has been programmed with the belief that genes turn on and off and control their life. And as far as they know, they didn't pick them and they can't change those genes. And then they take on the belief that they're victims of their heredity, things running in their family, be it a disease like cancer or something like that. They feel powerless. And now the new science revealed a completely different story, that genes are controlled by our mind. And when I say our mind, some people say mind, like, oh, that's just one thing. And I go, well, that's a problem in itself because there are two minds. And when we say the word mind, we're not recognizing that there are two interdependent elements, that there's the conscious mind. That's the latest evolution of the brain. Actually, it's right behind your forehead here. It's called prefrontal cortex. This is the conscious mind. And I say the conscious mind, by definition, is you personally. There's no two people that share conscious mind, okay? Conscious mind's connected to energy fields, and energy fields are the same as spirituality, and we're unique individuals. The conscious mind's character is creative. And I say, well, this is great. This is a mind that has wishes and desires. If I asked anybody, tell me what you want, the answer comes from the creative conscious mind: wishes and desires, health, happiness, relationships, job, blah, blah, blah. I go, yep. I say, well, and what about the other mind? And I say, oh, the rest of the brain from back behind here is called the subconscious. Sub means below consciousness. So it operates when you don't have to think about it. It's automatic all the time. But the subconscious mind is unique because it's actually the habit mind, where we acquire habits. And I say, well, what's a habit? I say, well, something you've learned enough times that you don't have to keep learning it. You already know it. You can do it automatically. I'll give an example of, a really good one that you learned was walking. You don't have to think about walking. And I said, well, when did you learn how to walk? I said, well, when you were very young, your life experience is repeating the idea of learning how to walk. Once you learned how to walk, you didn't have to relearn again. You could be 102, 110, and still have the exact same learning that you got before age 2. So the subconscious mind has got programs, and it makes our life easier so we don't have to learn every day and relearn all the time. So I say, okay, so there's the conscious mind, which is creative, and the subconscious mind, which is habit. And I have to tell you a very important point. The brain and a silicon-based computer are functionally exactly the same. They're not like each other, analogous, brain analogous to computer. The brain is the word homologous to computer, which means the brain is the same as the computer. And it is. It's a magnificent computer. And like any computer, it has the same functions to it. And I go, so what's the point? And I say, well, in the old days, you get a computer. There were no programs in it. You get a brand new computer. You come home, you push start, the screen boots up. And I say, okay, now do something. And then you go, well, no, I can't do anything. Even if it's a brand new computer, I can't do anything until I do what? First, you have to install basic programs. Once the programs are installed, then you can engage those programs to work with the computer. So in a sense, think about it this way. The computer's hard drive is like the subconscious. That's where the programs are, okay? The keyboard on a computer, that's where you put your information into the machine. I go, the keyboard is controlled by your conscious mind. So when your conscious mind is working, it's engaging wishes and desires into the computer. But then we also know this, is that, and this is the monkey wrench in people's lives they don't recognize. And I go, what's that? And I say, well, consciousness is wishes and desires, and we should be able to manifest them. As a matter of fact, important fact of science is that consciousness is creating our life experiences. This was recognized in 1927, the day quantum physics was recognized. It was also put into the fact. Matter of fact, one of the co-founders of quantum physics, Max Planck, a phrase that is relative today in this regard, the phrase is, the mind is the matrix of all matter. The mind is the matrix of all matter means the mind is the creator of all matter. Well, the movie The Matrix comes into play here. And I go, why? Because that's what it was based on, the mind controlling this. And movie The Matrix, a lot of people say, oh, that's science fiction. I go, it's actually a documentary. And I go, the reason why is because what's the premise of the movie? Oh, everybody's programmed. I go, yes, that's true. Everyone is programmed. As I said, the brain is a computer, and you need the programs to get off the ground. And how did you get your programs? Well, in the first 7 years of your life, your brain is not functioning at the higher vibration called consciousness. I said, vibration, consciousness. I said, yeah, you read a brain's function by putting wires on their head. It's called electroencephalograph. I can read your brain function. And I go, well, there's different levels of vibration. And the low vibration delta, you're sleeping. And the highest vibration beta is where we are right now, thinking and communicating and doing a high consciousness stuff. And I go, in the first 7 years of a child's life, the vibration is not at the level of consciousness. It's actually at a lower vibration called theta. I go, so what's theta? I go, theta is characterized as imagination. So in the first 7 years, that's where kids mix the real world and the imaginary world, because imagination is a function of theta. So, a kid gets on a broom and says it's a horse and rides the broom around. And the mother asks for the broom. You know what? The child's like, huh? Why? Because in the child's mind, in theta, that's not a broom. It's a real horse. And so theta is like bringing imagination into the real world. There's a tea party thing. You pour nothing into the cup and they drink the imaginary tea. And then they say, that was the greatest tea I ever had in my life. Again, this is an example of imagination. The most important point, theta is also hypnosis. I go, oh, why? Well, an infant has to learn how to be a member of a family. And an infant has to learn all the rules to be a member of a community. And I go, well, that's a lot of learning. That's a lot. How many rules does it take to be a functional member of a family and community? Thousands of rules. An infant can't read. An infant can't go to school. But an infant sure as heck's got to learn the rules right away to be a member of a family and a community. So nature facilitated. And I go, why what? Well, you learn the rules in the first 7 years of your life because you're in theta, which is hypnosis. And I say, so what? And I say, watch your father, watch your mother, watch your siblings, watch your community. And I say, why? When you're watching them, you see how they work. And I go, then what? And I say, well, now you have a program of how to make things work. Watch how your father does it. Watch how your mother does it, And I go, oh, I downloaded in hypnosis behavior, but from other people. But these behaviors are fundamental to get me off the ground, because if I don't put them into the program, I can't use my brain. So the brain lights up, screens on in the last trimester of pregnancy, in the last 3 months before you're born, and the screen's on. And I go, then what? I say, then at that point, we start responding to the environment and downloading information about the environment, which adjusts our genetics. Our genes don't control us. We control our genetics, but we have programs to control the genetics. So where'd you get them? how you learn to live your life controls your genetic activity. Okay. So first 7 years of your life, program the system. After age 7, the brain frequencies ramp up, and now we're conscious and creative. That's conscious mind. And I go, that's really cool. And I say, conscious mind wishes and desires. Whatever it is you want in your life, if I say, tell me what you want, the answer is going to come from your conscious mind because it's creative. It says, I want great relationships. I want to be healthy. I want a great job, blah, 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 blah. And I say, oh, those are wishes and desires. And I go, yeah, that's conscious mind. And then I say, just to give you a visual, imagine the body as a vehicle, like a car with a steering wheel. And I go, so what? And I say, the conscious mind, the creative mind, when it has its hands on the wheel, drives your vehicle toward wishes and desires. That's the destination. I go, cool. Then I add the problem. Problem, yes, and here it is. The conscious mind can look out the so-called window of your vehicle and drive you to where you want to go. Or, and here it is, the conscious mind can think. What does that mean? I say, when you're looking out the window, you're looking at the world. But if you're thinking, you redirect your conscious mind to look inside because the answers are inside. So I go, so what does that mean? I say, well, let's say today's Wednesday. And I say, what are you doing on Friday? And it's not written in front of you, but give yourself a little bit of time right there. And you'll say, oh, on Friday, I'm going to do this. I said, where'd you get that information? I thought about it. I said, aha, you ready? When you started thinking, you stopped looking out at the world with your conscious mind. You started looking in to the brain, to the thought. Well, that means, well, wait, the conscious mind's driving the vehicle to wishes and desires. And then I say, I start thinking, guess what? Conscious mind is not looking out the window. Conscious mind just went inside. This is really true. I mean, if you're really driving a car, you're driving your car and your conscious mind, I'm looking at the road and I'm going where I'm going. And then you start thinking about something, guess what? You're not looking at the road anymore. The conscious mind is not looking at the road. The conscious mind is in thought. I said, well, oh my God, there's a dangerous situation. You're on the interstate. You're driving like crazy. You start thinking, you're not looking out the window. I go, oh, and I go, no, don't worry. You know why? Because this is when the subconscious mind steps in and becomes like the autopilot. Why? Habit. Driving is a habit. You know how to drive? You don't have to learn it every day. The thing knows exactly how to drive. The body, the mind, the subconscious will drive you. When you could be thinking, and a lot of times this happens, you probably had this experience. You're driving along, and then you start thinking about stuff. And then at some point you look out the window and you realize, oh, I haven't paid attention for the last 5 minutes. I almost missed my exit. I'm not even paying attention. I go, who was driving the car? Because all of a sudden you realize you weren't paying attention. Or you have someone in the car, just to give a simple example, and you get so involved in a conversation, blah, 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 blah. And then you look out the window and realize, I haven't paid attention to the road. And I always joke, I say, yeah, tell your passenger, they'll feel really secure. Yeah, when we were talking, I haven't paid attention to the road for 5 minutes, and basically, you're still there. But now comes 2 questions. Ready? Question number 1. What was your conversation about? And you go, oh, yeah, we talked about this and this and this. And I go, question number 2, what was on the road when you had the conversation? And the answer is, I don't. I go, but you're still on the road, you're still driving, you're still safe. And I go, that wasn't you driving, that was your subconscious mind. Your program was driving you. And you had no vision of that whole process. You don't even know what the hell was on the road. You have no idea what was on the road. I go, why is this important? And here it goes. This is the personal, let's get to a point. And the point is simply this. Your conscious mind can think. I go, yes. I said, how much of the time does it think? And this is where the problem comes in. Only 5% of the day or your life are you actually using the creative conscious mind to manifest your life. And that's the one that had the wishes and desires in it. You're not using that mind. You're using the subconscious mind. I said, yeah, but those programs didn't come from you. They came from your parents, your family, your community. It's not even your program. Do they have your wishes? Probably not even they don't have those. So I say, well, wait, you're looking for wishes and desires, but what's driving you is a program that doesn't even have your wishes and desires. I go, yep. But here is the monkey wrench of all monkey wrenches in the machine, and it's this one. As I said, when you're thinking, you don't see what's going on outside. This is the problem. When you're thinking and you're playing your programs, which you downloaded from others, you don't see the behavior. You don't see the programs at all. Why? You're inside. Programs are coming out automatically. Everybody else sees the program. You're the only one that doesn't see it because you're not paying attention. I go, well, there's a story behind this and one I've told for years, but hey, you're ready for this one? You have some experiences with it? I say, you have a friend and you know your friend's behavior very, very well. And you know your friend's parent. And one day you see your friend has the same behavior as their parent. So you want to tell them, you just, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. Back away from Bill. I know exactly what Bill's going to say. I know he's going to say, how can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And people laugh and everything. And I go, that's the most profound story in the world. You just heard it. I said, what do you mean most profound story? I said, when Bill is behaving like his dad, he's behaving like his dad because that's a subconscious program. But if he's playing the subconscious program, the reason he's doing that is he's not paying attention. So he's the only one that doesn't see that program. 60% of the programs we put into this system before age 7 are disempowering or self-sabotaging or limiting beliefs. So I go, and then how much of the day are you using those programs? 95% of the day. Are you seeing those programs? No, but everybody else is and responding to your programs, not to you. You're thinking. So I go, what's the point of all this? And I say, that story of Bill is a story of all of us. Every day, we're creating our life with our programs 95% of the day. But our programs are not from us. They're from other people. And most of them have problems. So if you downloaded their problem, then 95% of the day, you're manifesting their problem. Hey, I can talk personally this. Listen, we download these programs by observing our parents and family in the first 7 years. I download my behavior as a guy to try to meet up with a mate. And I say, how do I do that? And I say, well, I watch my father and I take down that behavior. My father and mother had a dysfunctional relationship. What did I download? Bad behavior. Did I know I was downloading it? No, it was unconscious. It was just a download. Do I know I'm even using it? I say, nope, just like Bill. If I'm thinking and that behavior comes out, dysfunctional relationship, then what does that mean? I couldn't get a good relationship off the ground for nearly 50 years. Well, why not? I said, because 95% of the day I'm playing my father's behavior, which would push everyone away. And I realized, oh my God, I have this severe problem. But once I started to understand the nature, I got a program and I got a dysfunctional program that if I wanted to change it around, I had to rewrite that program. I had to change the program. Thank goodness I can. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having a wonderful conversation. It all goes to hell. No, it doesn't. You can change the program. And I go, well, this is a problem. And I'll tell you what the problem is. People talk to themselves. I'm going to do better. I'm working on it. I'm going to make a difference. Okay, let's do it. Come on, let's do it. We can do it. Conscious mind, we can do it. And then it doesn't work. And I go, what do you mean it doesn't work? I said, well, who are you talking to? We can do it. Oh, you're talking to the subconscious program that's running the show? Well, guess what? There's nobody in the subconscious. I go, what's that mean? I said, you could talk to your blue in the face and never change the subconscious. That's a program. I said, well, then how do you change it? I said, well, how did you get it? There are 2 natural ways we got the programs. Number 1, first 7 years, our brain was not functioning at conscious awake level. It was functioning at theta, a little bit below consciousness. And that was hypnosis. So I said, well, you want to change the brain program, then use hypnosis. I said, do I have to go see a hypnotherapist? I go, no, the cool part, you don't. I go, why? The vibrations of the brain start out at the lowest delta, sleep. You start to wake up, you go into a little bit of theta, that's twilight reverie, that's where you're just waking up. And then the vibration hits conscious, now you're awake. And then you're going to work, and now you're in not just alpha consciousness, now you're in beta consciousness, which is like real thinking. And I go, and then what? I say, you come home, and what do? Well, you go from beta, you start to relax, and now the vibration slows down. You're in alpha, calm, and you're in calm until you fall asleep. The moment the vibration went below consciousness switch off, you're not thinking, you're not there. But for the next little bit of time, as the vibration is slowing down, it's in a place called theta. Oh, that's hypnosis. I go, yeah. So you put some earbuds in, or you put some earphones on as you're going to bed, just before you go to bed, and you play programs, which you can get, we'll talk about in a second, to enhance your life, programs to create better relationships, programs to create better health or better jobs, whatever you want, whatever programs you want to manifest. You can play those programs through the earbuds or earphone as you're falling asleep. Now, while you're still awake for a moment, you'll hear some of the program going in. But the moment you just went to sleep, theta is still operating, but you're not there. But theta is the subconscious is downloading whatever just came across that program. Well, that's the way you want to change the program. So you got the earphones on, you're in theta, the information's coming in, and it's creating a new program in the subconscious while you are sleeping. It's called self-hypnosis. It's really cool. What's your effort? Go to bed. Once you go to bed, then the process of self-hypnosis is manifesting. And you repeat this because theta is not a very long period before going into deeper, lower vibration delta sleep. So you have to repeat this, okay? Self-hypnosis. That works. It's really great, okay? But that hypnosis phase of your life ends at age 7. And then you can still learn things. And I said, like what? I said, well, you drive a car. How'd you learn how to drive a car? Oh, practice. I repeated it. Oh, you play an instrument? How'd you learn how to play an instrument? I practiced. I repeated it. I learned how to play this sport. I said, how'd you learn that? I say, I practiced. I repeated it. Aha! After age 7, you can change the program by repetition, repeating what you want to be true. And the brain, through repetition, makes a new habit. So the new agey people, I love it because they say, fake it till you make it. And I say, what does that mean? I say, well, you're not a happy person. I say, but you want to be a happy person. I say, well, then how do you become happy when you're unhappy? I say, fake it. Just repeat it to yourself all day long. I am happy. I am happy. You don't have to tell anybody. You're just in your head. Just repeating it. I say, repetition generates a new habit. And after a number of days of repetition, guess what? You'll wake up, you'll be happy. Why? You created a new habit, and all of a sudden it's there. So the two fundamental ways of changing the program are self-hypnosis or repetition. And now there's actually a third way, and I want people to understand this because the planet's running headlong into an extinction process as we're talking right now, and that's why chaos is abounding all over the place. Civilization is not sustainable. We have to change our behavior. Change our behavior, change our program. We have to do it fast. So there's a new way of changing programs. It's called energy psychology. It's not the psychology where you go back and you say, my mom did this, and my dad did that, and my best friend did this, and you review all that stuff. I said, what a pain in the ass that is. I'll tell you why. You learned a program from those experiences. You carried the program forward. Those people that gave you the program, they're gone. They're not even there anymore. It's not, if you go back, you're just going to repeat the same like that. So you don't go backwards. You want to change your life, you go forwards. I said, what do you mean? I say, you start right here and say, what is it you want that you don't have? And I go, why is that relevant? So I can tell you, you were getting programmed before you were born, all the way up through age 7. Can you tell me the program you got just before you were born? No. Okay. Can you tell me the program you downloaded for a whole year from 0 to 1 you downloaded by observing? Tell me those programs. You go, what? You weren't there. Conscious mind wasn't there. The whole year from 1 to 2, you weren't there. The whole year from 2 to 3, you were getting programmed all that time. Your consciousness wasn't really working at that level, so you don't really have a conscious awareness of those programs. Why? They were downloaded before you were conscious. So I say, uh-oh, I've been programmed and I don't know what the programs are. I go, 95% of your life is coming from the program. Your life is a printout of your program. So I said, so what does that mean? I said, well, look at your life. The things that you like that come into your life, they come into your life because you have a program to acknowledge those things. But, and this is the one, folks, but those things that you wish for and desire and you're not getting, and you're struggling, and you're working hard, putting a lot of effort in. I'm sweating over it. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to work on it. Why are you working so hard? The answer is, whatever that destination is, your program doesn't support it. And that's why you're trying to override the program. I go, well, mathematically, not going to work. Why? 5% of the day with a small conscious computer versus 95% of the day with the subconscious, a million times more powerful computer. Mathematically, the subconscious mind is overwhelming, and there's a problem there, and that's why it makes it so difficult for us to change these programs. Okay, so basically, if I could, engage the mind in a different way, and it's called super learning. I go, what's super learning? I go, maybe seen somebody read a book by just taking their finger and moving it down the page. As fast as they move that finger down the page, they read every word on the page. I said, wow, that's a super learning experience. I said, yeah, you could read a whole book in 10 minutes. Just flip the page, flip the page, flip the page. And I go, yeah, and you could learn it. But I said, well, what if you could engage super learning and trying to change the programs? I go, aha, you can. That's where energy psychology comes in. It doesn't go backwards in time. It says, what's the program you want to change so we can go forwards in time? And I say, once you identify the program very clearly, you can rewrite that program using energy psychology and download new behavior, new program, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you could walk away, totally different. I go, yeah, this is a critical time for us to do that because, as I mentioned, civilization is facing an extinction process, and the only way we're going to get out of it is to change the behavior. And therefore, energy psychology offers an opportunity to engage super learning behavior so you can rewrite a program in minutes and walk away. And it's so beautiful, so fabulous, and so necessary because civilization has to change its programs pretty damn quick at this point. So, hey, nature has given us a gift, super learning. I have on my website, just very simple, brucelipton.com. Again, brucelipton.com. I have under resources, under a directory, about 25 or 30 different energy psychology modalities, a little descriptor paragraph, and then a website so you can connect to it. If you really want to take back power of your life, that is one of the most fantastic ways. Find one that seems to harmonize with you and look it up, see how it's going. But this is necessary at this time. It's necessary because I said, hey, chaos abounds here. And I go, chaos abounds because we're not sustainable. We need to keep the world's population at the same level of behavior today as it is right now. To hold that population, we need 1.6 planet Earths to provide. Well, we don't have the 0.6 planet Earth extra one. Basically, it's simply saying, hey, you can't sustain yourself. We're exceeding the capabilities of the planet to support us. So either two things happen here. Hey, we don't change, use up all of what we have and die. That's called extinction. Or civilization changes its behavior and starts to change its relationship with the planet. And in the process, learn to thrive. So you could either go extinct or we can thrive, but it's based on us changing our behavior because the current behavior is not sustainable. And I get excited because, you know, a lot of young people, that's who I presume I'm talking to because I'm one of the old people, a lot of the young people start to recognize, you know, life's a bitch. You know, you get a great education, walk out of school, and you're working at McDonald's. You know, it's like, how can you survive? Your parents got 3 BMWs and you have a bicycle. You know, how are we surviving? The jobs aren't out there. They're not good. The pay sucks. The future is completely in a state of chaos. It is very, you know, creating a disability in our consciousness. Oh, we're doomed. I go, no, we're not. And the college students are really the ones that they're playing the most important role in the future of our civilization. I go, why? Because they're not part of the system. It's the system that's causing the problem. And the young people are, we can't get into the system. I'm going, great. You don't want to be in that system because it's failing. NASA scientists have revealed that within 2 decades, young people, 2 decades, not very far away, industrial civilization is facing, let me emphasize their word, an irreversible collapse of civilization. You're going to see it in your lifetime. It's coming right now. It's unfolding. That's what all this chaos is all about. I said, I mean, we're all going to die. I go, no. It means we're going to change the way we live on this planet, which all of a sudden means the jobs that are out there, many of them are actually sabotaging ourselves. We're going to have to create all new jobs. Yes, there's all new technology, all new ways of what? Servicing the planet. Because if we don't service nature, we're going to get lost because we are nature. That's where we came from. If nature goes down, so do humans. There's no other place to go. So basically, so what does it mean? I said, man, there's going to be a job market that's going to blow your mind. And it's all new technology that's beginning to unfold right now. And this technology is technology to help us learn to live in harmony with nature, because it's the only way we're going to get there. So a lot of the conventional jobs right now are actually sabotaging us in this process. They're going to collapse. But this opens up a job market you haven't even envisioned yet. And it's coming. It's coming right away. And so I get really excited because the opportunities for the future are going to be fabulous. Even though it looks like crap today, it's falling apart. There's chaos everywhere. I go, simple reason. You cannot build the sustainable civilization on today's foundation. It's the foundation of our civilization that is destroying us. So as you see this thing tumbling down, don't be upset. Actually, it's a very joyous moment. Why? We will not survive unless we build a new civilization. And the young people are the builders of this. The old ones, part of that civilization, boom, out, okay? But it's the young people that have the key for the future. And it's going to be a whole new technology, a whole new world, a whole new job offerings that are not even available, a lot of them at this moment. But every day, new technology is bringing new jobs. And that's the cool part. Don't be upset by the falling down. Recognize you're part of the building up. We're creating something new. And it's basically going to be driven by the younger generations. Did I talk too much, guys?
I could listen all day.
We're in awe.
Yeah.
Well, you give me hope, Bruce.
Oh, God, it is so much hope. Even for an old guy like me, you know, as I said, I had trouble getting a relationship because my first 7 years of life, my program was observing my dysfunctional father and then carry that dysfunctional behavior in the rest of my life until I changed it when I started to see what was wrong. I mean, hey, man, I was looking for relationships. Why? I was seeking happiness, and happiness will be in a relationship. And every time I was seeking happiness, I failed with the relationship, you know. But I needed that relationship. I was living in the Caribbean at the time, teaching at a medical school in the Caribbean, and I had a great life, man. I had a villa on a beach in a Caribbean, and worked a couple of days a week, and had money in my pocket because there was nothing to spend money on in the Caribbean anyway. And I was looking for somebody. And I met this woman who came off a yacht, and she was just traveling around on a yacht with people. And I said, hey, I got this great villa. It's a pickup line. You couldn't do any better. Oh, I got this great villa, and there's a cook and a person to take care of everything. You want to come hang out at the beach here? Yeah. And I offered that, hoping that maybe somebody would take interest. And she looked at me and just looked at me straight, and she said, I can't be with you. I said, what? I said, what? She said, you're too needy. And I stood there for a second, like somebody went, boom, slapped me across the face, and I said, oh, thank you. I needed to hear that. Because when I walked away from that lunch, I said, what the hell am I needy for? I got money, I got health, I got a great job. I live in the most spectacular environment in the world. I said, I can't be happy with that. I had to change and start to recognize I don't need someone. That's called codependency, when you need somebody. I said, I don't need anybody. Why? I started to say, I have to enjoy look what I got. Look what I got. And then I got so happy without anybody there because I started to take advantage of the fact, look what I got. And I didn't need anybody anymore. Well, that's when potential partners started to show up because the needy part disappeared. And this is the issue that really is important for all of us, is because most of the relationships out there are based on, I need somebody. Well, need means codependency. Codependency means that if they leave, you're screwed. So what you're going to do is hold on to them. And they could be abusive, and you're still on to them, because if they leave, it could be worse. And the idea about it is to, I call it, be a noble gas. What the hell's a noble gas? I say, the periodic table of elements, there are like 108 of them or something like that. There's only one column in the entire periodic table that doesn't make chemistry. All the other elements of the universe make chemistry except noble gases. Noble gases, they don't make chemistry. I say, why not? Because as atoms, they spin in perfect balance. They have the complete set of electrons in the outer shell of the atom. And when there's a complete set, it's a perfect balance. And those atoms spin in a perfect balance. They don't need anything else. They're in balance. All the other atoms have one too many, one too few, whatever number of electrons, and they wobble. All the other elements, when those atoms spin, they wobble. That's inefficient. So what nature does is find two wobbles that can compensate each other. And when they stick together, that's chemistry, like sodium and chlorine. When they come together, they both spin in perfect balance because they're sharing electrons and everybody's happy. But the problem is you can't let go, because if they let go, then sodium and chlorine by themselves will wobble. So that's called a codependency. The sodium needs the chloride to stay stable. Well, we wobble. And let's go back for a minute to talk about the fact that the first 7 years you downloaded your programs, and you downloaded them by observing others. And if they have a problem, you downloaded their problem. So I say then 95% of your life is coming from behaviors you got from other people with problems. As a result, we wobble. We're not in balance. We're not in harmony. And what are we looking for? We're looking for codependency. We want to find that other person who wobbles when we wobble together. Then it's like, oh, smooth out the ride. Everybody's good. That's what we're looking for. But I go, well, but what if you didn't wobble? And all of a sudden you say, I don't need anybody. But it doesn't mean you don't have a relationship, because, as I said, here's the interesting, cool part. The noble gases don't make chemistry. There's no like helium chloride or neon sulfate. You don't find any of the gases. And then you say, oh, poor noble gases, they don't have relationships. And then I go, lasers work on noble gases. I go, what does that mean? Inside a laser is a tube where there's gases, helium, neon, any of that list of noble gases, xenon, krypton. I go, so what? I say, when they're inside a laser, they get bombarded with photons of light. They get enlightened. The atom, the spinning perfect balance atom of a noble gas gets hit by light, and it grabs that energy and it becomes enlightened. And then guess what it does? it hooks up with other noble gases. And when two noble gases come together, in chemistry, they call two elements come together a dimer. When two noble gases come together, it's called excitomer, because when they come together, they give off laser light. And so all of a sudden I realized, that's what relationships should be. Noble gases coming together to share rather than to balance each other, because it's no codependency. You're not, your heart is not hooked on the action of someone else. They can be an idiot. You can be, I'm okay. I'm still spinning pretty good. And this is what the future really means, is like, maybe we can get those 7 years that threw us out of balance because of the downloaded programs that were not in harmony. If we correct those, then we start to spin in a perfect balance. That's what I found in the Caribbean. Once I realized I didn't need another person, I could enjoy my life. It was just perfect balance. Then I was ready for hooking up with other noble gas to have an excitomer and live this way. And so here's the point. Let's bring it out to this. The first 7 years is programming, and 95% of your life comes from the program. I goes, yeah. I say, this is not new information. What do you mean? The Jesuits, the Catholic Jesuits, have told their followers for 400 years, they said, give me a child until it is 7, and I will show you the man. And nobody understood what the hell they were saying. What they were saying is exactly what we just said. If I program the first 7 years, and then the person's 95% of their life is coming from that, then that's what they were saying. Give me the child for 7, I'll program them. And for the rest of their life, they will manifest that program. And that's when Catholic school started. Let's give them the program and then let them live with that the rest of their life. They knew that, but that fundamental, significant piece of information was never lost on others. I mean, if you see an infant today can hardly walk carrying an iPad, you're looking at programming, folks. And this is the kind of programming. If we're not getting good programming, then we're into the matrix. And then the matrix, as I said, yeah, documentary, we're all programmed. But then the matrix also said, you could take a red pill, get out of the program. Whoa. You can? What would that be like? Well, many of you have experienced it to some degree. And I go, what is that? And I said, science has found that when people fall in love, they stop thinking. They stay what is called mindful. They stay present. In other words, simple point. You've been looking for somebody. They show up in your life. It's not time to go into your head and think and not be there anymore. It's time to be here now. So it turns out when you first fall in love, you keep mindful. You don't play programs anymore. You're staying with the conscious. Say, what's conscious? Creative. I go, what do you think you created when you fell in love? You went blah, 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 met somebody. 24 hours later, your life was different. Your life was honeymoon. I go, what's honeymoon? Joy, love, happiness, food's great, music's great, sex is great, everything's great. I go, wow, what a coincidence, blah, 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 blah. Meet somebody, 24 hours later, heaven on earth. And I go, that's the equivalent of a red pill, and science has recognized that's exactly what it was. When you stop thinking, then the subconscious is not controlling you. Your conscious is controlling you, and your conscious is the creative one. And that's the one with wishes and desires. And that's what a honeymoon is like when you fall in love. You start manifesting a life based on wishes and desires, and it is beautiful. And of course, you might then ask me, then, how come the honeymoon seems to disappear? And the answer, profoundly simple. Yeah, you haven't been thinking, but you've been staying present, using your conscious creative mind, wishes and desires to manifest this experience. But you still have work, you have a job, you have classes, you have responsibilities, whatever. I say, you start thinking about those. I say, what happens if you start thinking? I say, huh? The subconscious kicks back in and the conscious mind lets go. But the subconscious got all the bad programs. And that's what your partner in your love experience never saw, the bad programs. Why? Because you never played the programs. But if you start thinking and those programs start showing up, those behaviors sabotage a relationship because many of them are disempowering and dysfunctional behaviors. And as a result, the honeymoon fades away and it's gone. I go, oh, crap. Except reprogram that subconscious mind. Instead of the ones that you got that are dysfunctional programs, replace them with wishes and desire programs. I go, so what does that mean? I say, then if you're thinking and your subconscious playing, it's playing wishes and desires. If you're not thinking, you're still expressing wishes and desires, then what's the point? A honeymoon could be 100 years long. The only reason it disappeared is we fell back into the subconscious programming, which was limiting us.
Bruce, you just described my last 3 relationships.
But it's so great. And I say this only because I never believed in it because I couldn't even get the damn relationship off the ground. But once the program was changed, and I met my wonderful partner, Margaret, and we've been on a honeymoon 28 years. I mean, wake up every day and go, hey, life's great. Hey, still here, still enjoying this place. What was the point? The bad programs that would have sabotaged me in the past, like they did, rewritten. Energy psychology is what I use, rewrote them. I have a completely different life. All of a sudden, I'm not a victim anymore. Now I'm the creator of this life. I'm an old guy, you know. I don't have pharmaceutical drugs in my life. I don't have doctors in my life. I seem to be pretty good, having a great time. I'm near 80 right now. And what was the point? I don't need all of that stuff anymore. Living in harmony, living in love, living in balance. Man, that's where health comes from. That's why when people fall in love, they glow. They're so healthy. It's not an accident. Love energy creates health and harmony. And we seek it. We seek it all the time.
Well, Bruce, just your teachings bring harmony. That was very insightful and very impressive of how you could keep me engaged and keep me following you for about 40 minutes of telling me how to reprogram my subconscious mind. I am thoroughly impressed. Before we get into rapid fire, we have 4 rapid fire questions we ask all our guests.
Oh, that's a quiz. Am I going to fail? No, I'm not going to fail.
No way Bruce Lipton's failing our quiz. But Rich, do you have anything you want to ask Bruce or anything before we get into rapid fire?
Maybe not ask, but I just wanted to comment about kind of what you said in terms of the programming and stuff. And, I think Jimmy and I both received the same downloads, and as opposed to
quick question. Let me just interfere. What's the age difference?
11 years.
You didn't get the same download.
Okay.
I'll give you a reason why. People should know this with family where there's more than one kid, that the first child is a whole unique experience for parents. Everything's unique, so it's like, ooh, like this. The second child comes along, it's like, we did this.
Oh, I felt that for sure.
Attitude. What's that, Jimmy?
I felt that for sure. That yeah, we've been here, we've done that. Whatever.
It's easier after the first.
So,
Rich, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I agree with you. I think maybe in certain aspects we think we got some of the same stuff, but I think.
Oh, you do.
Maybe not all the same, but I think like you had commented on that you were mimicking something when you had that experience in the Caribbean. I think for Jimmy and I, we maybe became aware of it, and so that kind of maybe makes us hesitant of seeking those sorts of relationships, because we don't want to mimic that stuff.
Right. But then here's the choice. This is the whole thing that the world does not recognize. This is a choice. Let me emphasize this. Quantum physics, which is the most valid of all the sciences, meaning from the very days of theory. You know what? It took only 15 years from a whole new theory about how the universe worked. They created an atom bomb, of course, but from nowhere, just an idea. 15 years later, they actually manifested something that was inconceivable 15 years earlier. It wasn't even possible. Just to show you how powerful and accurate that science is. And why I'm bringing it up is because that science is the science that emphasizes very clearly that consciousness is creating our life experience. That's not like a new age idea. That is a scientific fundamental foundation of the world in which we live. And so that consciousness you're talking about is profoundly important because our world is totally based on our creativity, the matrix. I cut in, but you can go back now.
I want to thank you too for turning me onto the phrase or the term or substance noble gas. That is something I am going to try to use in my life and strive to be a noble gas and to not be one of those crazy other elements that need other things, but to be balanced and to be a noble gas. So thank you for that.
And more, Jimmy, it's not just that, but it also says that people around you could be nuts, but it doesn't affect you. Why? They're the ones that are wobbling. You're in balance. It doesn't affect you anymore. You're sort of disconnect from the craziness of people that are not in balance, and that's where crazy comes from.
Yeah. I think we can all strive for that for sure. We take care of our own and we'll take care of the world, like you were saying before. Bruce, are you a coffee drinker?
Yes.
How do you brew your coffee and how do you take it?
My partner, Margaret, my personal barista, she creates a cappuccino out of the machine. And I love it. And she calls it a brevi, I think. That's why we don't use steam milk. We use steam cream, and that rich cream and the steamy, oh, great.
Do you notice a difference between the coffee in New Zealand and the coffee in Santa Cruz?
No, not necessarily. Each place has a coffee that's better than another coffee. I just was in Australia and we had great coffee there. And back here we have great coffee. And when I go home, not the same brand, but
Sure.
We seek it out. Why? Hey, it's a drug of choice. If I'm going to take it, why take a bad drug? Okay.
Definitely. Bruce, do you have any daily practices or rituals that you do on a regular basis to show up as the strongest version of Bruce Lipton?
Practice just being myself these days. And I said being myself was a program that I changed from previous programs. So all of a sudden it doesn't require practice because 95% of the day is working automatically anyway. And the other 5%, I make it up as I go along. It's really great. So I did in the beginning because I was not in harmony. And that was a much more important time to try to get myself into that state of balance. But the beautiful part about this is, like the Matrix thing, is that red pill, once it's in there, you don't have to go back again. And unfortunately, it's 28 years with Margaret, still in the honeymoon, just like, in the very beginning, every day. It's like, I live in heaven, man. That's the name of the game. And it's interesting because as a scientist, I never believed in spirituality, but through quantum physics and understanding the nature of cell biology, it's like, oh my God, our identity is broadcast picked up. And the significance about that is then when we don't die, why? We're not even in here. This is like a television set. You're watching the Bruce Show right now. And like when you're watching a TV and the TV breaks, you say, oh, the TV's dead. And I go, yeah, TV doesn't work, dead. The broadcast is still there, and you get another TV and tune it to the same station. You're back online. That's reincarnation. We've been here more than once, folks. We keep coming back. And I go, my conclusion of why this is bringing up is simply this. A lot of people think, well, when I die, I'm going to go to heaven where everything's beautiful. I go, you don't have to die to go to heaven. You were born here. I go, what does that mean? I say, we are creators. Fundamental rule of quantum physics, number one, consciousness is creating this experience. And epigenetics, a science that shows how consciousness adjusts your genetics and your behavior, is an expression of that quantum physics understanding. And the relevance to me about it is this, is like, man, don't wait to die. Enjoy this while you have an opportunity right now. Don't waste a day because you don't get credit. Oh yeah, I missed a bunch of days not having fun. I said, you don't get any credit. You lost those babies. Enjoy every day. That's your choice.
Amen, Bruce.
Amen, yeah.
Amen. Yeah. What are you listening to right now? Music, podcasts, audiobooks? Are you reading anything?
One of the groups I really like currently is a group called Lord Huron. And they're from, you've maybe heard of them. The name Huron comes from Lake Huron. They're Michigan guys who play Lord Huron. I love them because it has elements of progressive rock from a long time ago mixed with today's genre, and it brings an old guy up to the future with me.
Wasn't expecting you to throw that out at us, but I am familiar with them and I do appreciate them. So it makes me smile to
Great.
hear that you recommend them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruce, last one for you.
Lumineers too.
Lumineers are good too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to throw them out now, but I like those guys too. Okay.
Any New Zealand stuff that we should check out?
Not as of late. A few years back, they had some people. Adele I think she's a New Zealand person and stuff like that.
Okay.
But that's not my genre, so
Yeah.
I'm not listening.
Okay. Bruce, do you have any guilty pleasures?
Lots of them. Not that I'm going to talk about on the air, because otherwise I'll get arrested. So I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay. Wink, wink.
Bruce, do you have anything, you have a lot of work out there that you are most proud of, whether it be a book, an interview, a podcast you've done, anything like that, that listeners of this podcast that are really turned on to this interview that want to go dive into more of your work, that you could say, hey, check this out. This is one of my favorites.
Yeah. Well, Jim, as you already said, the book that I really like, and I was downloading it. I sure as hell, I was just sitting there with a pen going, okay, tell me, and it was coming down out of that pen called Biology of Belief, which is the emphasis for people to understand. Change your belief, change your reality. And then all of a sudden I said, well, then you're the one that controls that. So what do you want? I follow it with a book that I think is even more important, but people don't recognize it because of not selling it big. It's called Spontaneous Evolution. And it's actually important because it describes exactly what's going on in the world today, the requirement for this evolutionary upheaval, and how we can change our behavior to become more in harmony with the world around us and be more in harmony with our own biology, because health is harmony and disharmony is disease. You want to simplify medicine right there. That's an answer right there. Spontaneous Evolution is a great story. And then for the quick read, because I just want to do this and get something, The Honeymoon Effect. And a guy like me who couldn't get a relationship off the ground for nearly 50 years to write a book called The Honeymoon Effect, man, I learned something that was really cool. That's in that book.
Sweet. Thank you for sharing those with us. I'll definitely have to add those other two to my reading list. Bruce, you are the man and you are spreading the truth, sir. Thank you for all your work. This was I don't have words for it. This was awesome. Thank you so much, sir.
Not sir, but just me, Bruce. And I want to thank you guys, because otherwise I have to go talk to each one of your listeners. And this way, it's so much easier to talk to you guys, and then you spread the word. And therefore, I have the deepest appreciation for you and for our audience, because our audience are people who are thinking and are really seeking that power that we have all been talking about during this program. So A, I appreciate you for giving me a platform, and B, I appreciate our audience for seeking, how can I do better on this planet?
Bruce, it's an honor and a pleasure. Honestly, I've been in all this whole time, so I'm truly grateful for your time tonight. I really appreciate it.
I thank you again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Okay, guys, enjoy your life. Have fun. No extra credit for failing. You don't get a refund if you don't enjoy it. So take advantage of all of it.
Thank you.
Sir.
Safe travels.
Even those things I couldn't talk about. Okay, guys, have a wonderful
Take care,
evening.
Bruce.
You too.
Bye.